Hello, and this is a review for the Fantastic Four, 2015's Fantastic Four. This isn't scripted because I saw it yesterday and I wanted to do a review, but I haven't really had time, and I don't want to put more effort into this film than the creators did, so yeah, it's not happening. Also, I had a weird thing where, do I even do a review? The rest of the world is gathered together to bring this film down. But I thought this film is about teamwork and fails to fucking show it in any way. But it did do a weird thing of bringing everyone in the world against a common enemy. You, Fantastic Four, you are shit. And it is really, really shit. Now, before going into this film, I had no hopes for it. It looked not great, and Doom looked awful. But I have a friend who we go to the cinema every week, and this was all that was on. So we did it. And honestly, for the first 45 minutes, even though it wasn't great, it had me a little bit. Not in like, oh my god, this is great, as in, this is watchable. It isn't falling apart in front of me. Characters aren't perfect, and it isn't great, but that's fine. Then it does this year skip thing, and literally at that moment, it lost me. It goes weird, it goes dark and odd, and the CGI suddenly appears and it all looks fucking awful. Characters up to that point had some minuscule personality. They lost it. They suddenly become wooden boards. It's weird. I don't know how it happens. And then it kind of meanders for a bit, and then Doom shows up and it ends. Like, I was surprised that the end was happening. I was watching the final fight and wondering how this has happened and how we got here. It makes sense, but it's just, it feels off. Like, it feels the first half of the film was written by someone completely different to who wrote the middle. Almost like the director did that bit and the writer did that bit, and then Fox came in the middle and went, no, we need to make it dark, and then essentially turned it into a horror film. Tonally, the whole film is all over the place. It becomes a horror film. It's weird. I really don't know why it happened. And then there's this little bit at the end where it tries to remember that this film should be about the characters, and then also realise it has to set up the sequel and quickly give them a name, give them identities, like Human Torch and the Thing suddenly bicker even though they didn't the whole film, and it's really, really strange. So this film should be about the 4 or 5 main characters who at the beginning have some, as I said, some personality. Reed's smart, Sue likes music and claims to be as smart as Reed, and she should be, but never ever shows it. Johnny races cars at the beginning because they think he does that, and then he doesn't do anything else Johnny-like. He even gets his power and just becomes a military guy, doesn't show off, doesn't have fun. Like, it seems Fox forget Days of Future Past was only really, really good because there was that scene with Quicksilver where he was having fun, but no one has fun with their powers. Even Ben, the only one who probably should be upset about having powers, is actually kind of okay about it. He is sad for a bit and scared, and then he just resigns himself to his fate because there's like nothing giving him reason to be a dude again, because he's in like 3 scenes. He does nothing. Like, Ben Grimm is not needed in that film. Usually the first plot is we need to turn Ben back, which they do talk about, and then they just give up on that even being a plot because Doom just shows up, and we will get to Doom. We will. So the CG, all bad. Again, I think that's the reason I like the first 45 minutes, because there's very little until they go to Planet Zero, which is I thought it was a different dimension, which was the negative zone, but it's not. It's another planet that's in a different dimension, that even though it usually would work that it has different properties, it's still kind of Earth, and they can breathe there even though there's no plant life. It makes literally no sense, but it all looks awful. None of Planet Zero looks good, which is weird. Avatar came out, it was like a few years ago now, I don't remember the exact, 2011 maybe, and people wanted to commit suicide because that place wasn't real. This looks shit. It's rushed. All the CG is rushed. All the effects of the different abilities. Johnny looks weird when he's flamed on. Sue has a weird ball thing that she flies everyone around in, but it just looks off the whole time. The Thing looks like Sloth from the Goonies with rock on him. And Reed's stretchy arms are kind of alright, but that's just because they show them quickly and usually blur it a little bit. Or it's because you're focusing on the backdrops when they're in Brazil and it looks awful in CG the whole time. And then there's Doom. You've probably seen him by now. The film tries to explain why he looks like he does, which is his plastic suit fused to him, so now he looks like molten lava and rocks stuck inside a plastic container. But he looks awful. And it's weird. I was more worried about Doom than anything. And honestly, he's the only character who gets some character. Like, when you first see him, he's ridiculous. He's sitting at a computer, controlling it with his mind, playing Assassin's Creed Unity. I don't know if Ubisoft paid for that. I don't know why that was a thing. It's dumb, but I was like, okay, he controls robots and makes them, and maybe I can do that, Doom bots and everything. And behind him he has a Latvian flag and a little picture that looks like it could be one of his ancestors. I was like, I can kind of deal with this. And he also has like an anti-government message that's a bit weird. But it's a message that he has that no one else has, where the reason he quit working with Susan and her dad was, I don't know, they never explain this, but I'm assuming some government organisation was going to try and take over the work and he burnt all the servers or something. Don't know. But he has this weird, wants to do something good, but also wants to take credit for it because of his ego, and also wanted to be under his control and the people who made it, which is fine. And it kind of, in the rushed, terrible end, almost makes sense in a weird way when this is a tiny bit of a spot. His plan's almost like Latveria, but on a bigger scale. Instead of just controlling Latveria, he's now in control of his own planet, essentially, and doesn't want military or government taking control of it. So I get it stretched, and it's awful. It kind of makes sense. His powers don't make sense, or why an energy source that's linked and lets him control a different planet lets him blow people up or give him it makes, again, it's a bad film. It's a bad film. But overall, in this rambling short review, it's bad. Don't see it. We can forget. I honestly like the 2005. It's a guilty pleasure, but I enjoy enough the 2005 movie. One, because the cast, aside from Jessica Alba, the rest, the cast is pretty much perfect for me, and I honestly like the weird thing suit. I like it way more than the CG suit. Doom sucks in that movie, but I like the cast and lots of their chemistry. But in this, there's none of that. They almost get there. They seem to be doing it, and then it's just all the characters are forgotten so that they can do a scene that should be in the Hulk, I think, where they're chasing someone, and there's a weird thing that's in every film where Reed and the Thing have a little argument, even though it's probably the only dialogue Grimm gets the whole fucking film. He says nothing. He just stands there stoic and does nothing. It's bad. It's bad. Honestly. Every review is 100% correct. It's bad, but it's done a one thing. It's brought everyone together with a common enemy that we can all just shit on for a while, which is nice. It was also a recent comment from the director that a year ago his actual cut would have been great. Fuck you, sir. No, you can't claim that now the film is out and bad. You can't do that. You do what Edgar Wright did with Ant-Man and just leave. If you really think your little idea you had is being fucked over by the company you work for, you leave. You don't keep doing it, because all you're going to do, when your last film was alright, Chronicle, you don't want to then have a big flop immediately after. So just leave and don't go, oh, it was Fox. And I know in some cases, very well, the director's cut is honestly better, but I don't see it. Unless he reshot a second film, half this film's set in bunkers that all look the same, or on bad CG. There is nothing he could have done to change how bad that film is. I don't see it happening. And one last thing, if you like this film, because I know people do, because I've seen people on Facebook say it's a brilliant film. It's a quote. So, fine. I have no real hate for anyone who likes bad things. I know many people who like bad things, and it's all subjective, but there's a very large chance you will not like this film. If you like Fantastic Four, comics, or anything, you probably won't like this film. If you like character development, you won't like this film. If you like good narrative and plot, you will not like this film. If you like Transformers, you might like this film, I guess. Or the Ninja Turtle movie, you might like this film. It's full of shitty CG and shitty characters, so you might like this film if you like them. So yeah, I'm trying not to judge people here, but it's fucking bad. So yeah, this has been a really unorganized review. Hopefully, I would like to do more, and I would like to actually write them, because, you know, this rambled a little bit. It's just because, again, I haven't got much time, and I think everyone should voice their opinion on this film. It's bad. Yeah, if I do this again, it will be better. I promise.